Hello everyone, this is Diane, and I have a journal to share with you this evening. It's about 10 o'clock p.m. here, but I want to get this videoed before I get ready for bed. This is for a custom order for Cathy, and I did a similar book with this journal, which isn't completed yet, but it's almost done. And this is another custom order, I think. If the customer wants this one, it's hers. But I'm going to show you this one that's for Cathy. This is the vintage book cover that I had used for my niece's journal, and I found another one at the flea market, so I wanted to use it for this customer. She wanted a similar type of journal with a vintage lady on the front, so it's the Trail of the Lonesome Pine. And I put this pretty fabric on the spine, and I punched a hole up here at the top and just used a really pretty brad to attach this tassel, which I don't even know where I got this tassel. I've had it for a while, but I just thought it looked nice on the spine. Let's see if you can see it there. Sorry about that. I know it makes noise when I do that. And pretty lace along the edges of the fabric. It's tied with seam binding. 3 signatures stitched in, and no pocket on the front, but it says this book belongs to excuse me. There are various images throughout this book, various digitals. I used stuff that I had already printed. I don't think I printed anything new for this book, but I've had a lot of things that I've printed and just cut and had in one of my drawers, and I just decided to get that stuff out and pull out what would be appropriate for this book. So there's a variety. I think that there's a few of these book cover images, and I think that was a freebie from one of the digital Etsy sellers. When I made a purchase from her, she sent me some free book cover images. I think that's where that is from. And then you saw me create some of the ephemera on a couple of tutorials that I did yesterday, and this is one of the tags that I did that's embossed. Can you see? I used my heat gun and embossing powder to do that, and there's some sari silk in there. This image is stitched to some cardstock and then stitched onto the page as a pocket. There's crochet edging here, stamping in the corner, fabric tab. I used a handkerchief, a vintage handkerchief, as a pocket with this beautiful crocheted edging, and it hangs off the edges of the book. I want you to see how luscious it looks. This customer wanted it to be lacy and feminine. Oh, excuse me. So I hope that she likes that. And there's some sari silk and fabric tabs poking out at the top. Lacy and feminine and vintage she wanted. So this is a vintage handkerchief and a little piece of a vintage doily stitched on there, and an alterations tag that I Mod Podged a napkin to, and some more sari silk. Oh, I was going to look up this. I did want to tell you who this was. There's a little bit of glue there. Oops, I'll have to put something there. This is copies, digital copies of wallpaper, vintage wallpaper, and I cannot remember the digital seller, so I will have to look that up and list it down below. But I have several. I think there's one sheet in every signature of this different types of wallpaper. This is a Tim Holtz stencil, coffee dyed paper. I like the way that turned out. This one I didn't bake. It looks nice and smooth. I just let it dry on the counter. A fabric flip with some eyelet, tissue, coffee dyed tissue paper. Here's a book page with the Tim Holtz stitched slots die, and all of these pieces come out. They can be written on the back, and I interchanged the nameplate here. I just used a gingham piece. So what I did was, let me show you if I can find it here. Oh, here it is. When I got my Tim Holtz die out to cut that, I cut a whole bunch I like the brown, the craft color ones, but I cut them in a bunch of different colors. I don't think it would work very well with a large pattern because of the tiny slats here, but I did do it with this gingham. So just a bunch of colors, some more of the craft, and I can pair them up with matching or interchangeable nameplates. So I'll have them ready to use for future journals. So anyway, I just put a few things. I tucked the ticket in here, the stamped lady's face in here, a honey and cream advertising stamp, and a little circle from a spool of thread. That's a vintage ticket. Whoops. So I've only used this die a couple of times in journals. I think this might be the second time I've used it, but I'm going to have a lot of fun with that. I love it. Just a cardstock shape there, and then I made some pockets with book page and put distress ink around them and decorated them. So there's one of these, but they're all decorated differently. There's one of these in each signature. This is vintage lace. Isn't that beautiful? I have so much lace. I have to stop hoarding the vintage stuff that I love. I'm just using it. The stamp up there. I'm going to put some hearts in the center. But I just finished sewing it together, and like I said, it's 10 o'clock at night, so I just wanted to get this video done. There's crocheted edging there. This is a piece of manila file folder that I stamped and inked, put it on as a pocket. This came out of an old appointment book. Here's a flip that's got some cool lace here and a vintage ticket, a little rose die cut or cut out. It was sent to me. It was printed on tissue paper or tracing paper, and I cut it out and stitched it on. And then this is a tsunami rose piece. And some of the ephemera bits that I've cut out are from tsunami rose. I can't remember, but I think that one is. And there's a little tiny tag or card tucked in there. Fabric flip. A fabric pocket with some vintage lace and a vintage postcard tucked in. Look how brown that is on the back. I'm still trying to think of that tsunami rose. Charming Fragments. Some of the ephemera bits are from Charming Fragments. There's just a little collage up here. These are 2 stamped images. This was printed from a kit. And the second signature has this lady, and I believe that I have the original card photo of this. This is printed onto parchment paper. And I don't think it was something I downloaded. I think I copied it from an original photo. I could be wrong about that. There's one of the stamp cards that I made with some script text along the side. I put a tab on it, tucked it in there. This is the graph paper that I had used in a previous journal that when I coffee dyed it, it all smeared. The blue ink smeared with the coffee, and I really love the way it looks. This is another vintage handkerchief with a ribbon stitched, and if you saw my tutorial on coloring the stamped images, this was the lady that I colored. So there's lots of room for journaling on the back of that. Here's another of the wallpaper digitals. Another fabric flip. This is a digital that I printed onto, I think this one's vellum. I had done some on tracing paper, and then I got some vellum from Amazon, and I did some more, and this one feels like vellum. Vintage book page. This is a little cutout. This one might be from Ephemera's Vintage Garden, and I'm pretty sure this one is, and it's printed on parchment. This is an old sticker. I used the last two of these pieces. I've had them for several years. A stamp, and this is a printout, digital printout. Another flip with some vintage lace, cheesecloth, and a Tim Holtz butterfly, Tiffany and Company stamp card to write on. There's another image that I stamped, had my postcard stamp behind it. And this is left over from the Renaissance kit that I did. Renaissance journal, I mean. Book page with Tim Holtz card, ephemera card, and some fabric and a little scrap of lace. This is, I think it's Christie Art Designs watercolor flowers. I love these images. And it's stitched to some cardstock, and it has a ribbon stitched on it. This one has a not a vintage, but oh, maybe I should swap that out for one with a card on the back. And here's the vellum fabric flip. This is fabric bookmark, or not fabric, it's a printable bookmark type. It's not very big for a bookmark, but there was a sheet of this size of flowers and I printed them onto the vellum. And this is a stamp. I did a little collage here with some digitals, and this is just cut from scrapbook paper. This is a stamp, and this is graphic 45 card that goes in there. Here's another one of those book covers. And here's another tag that I embossed. This is the one with the woven tapestry embossing ink. Can you see all the colors in there? Sorry, silk. This is a vintage doily with a piece of crocheted vintage doily stitched on it. And it's a pocket, and there's another. This has the gold embossed image on it. The vintage wallpaper image. It's not real wallpaper, it's just a digital image. This is a piece of the fabric that I had sold in one of my fabric kits. I love the design on this. This is vellum that I got at Hobby Lobby. A little glassine bag. I sell these bags in my shop, and I Mod Podged a piece of napkin onto that. And I also have, I think I have one or two more sets of these tags that I cut with my Cricut that are just the right size to fit in those bags. I think I have one or two left in my shop of those sets. Another card for journaling on, and here's another pocket made with the book page, and there's some coffee dyed tracing paper and some lace. A little, I think this is a Tim Holtz bottle cap. I don't think it's a vintage one, although I do have some vintage ones. And this is a embossed card. If you want to know how to do that embossing, check out my video, my tutorial that I did yesterday. There's a stamped piece of manila card, manila file folder with a lady and a postcard, and this is Tsunami Rose. Here's a flip. This is a piece of pleated lace trim that I think Lori Jagadish sent that to me when we did we had a swap together in Junk Journal Junkies quite a while ago, and I still had this lace, so I thought it would look nice. It again hangs out of the book. It's a little piece of Tim Holtz ephemera there. And then this is a pocket that I think somebody from Junk Journal Junkies gave us on that site as a free digital. You had to cut it out, fold it, and then cut a slit here so that you would have two pockets. So I glued around the edge here and here. This is where the fold is. But then I had to stitch here because I forgot to glue it so that this would be the bottom of this pocket. And then these are just some printables. I'm not sure where they came from, but I just tucked them in there. And it goes in there. I didn't want to glue this to the page because there's room for writing on the back of it. There's a stamped image here and again, I'm going to switch those two cards out so that they actually have a suit and numbers on them. This is some more vintage lace. Got to put something in here too. This is another flower thing printed on vellum. This is a printable. That's probably from Ephemera's Vintage Garden. There was a sheet of these labels that you could cut out, and then this is just a stamp. And then this is a pocket. That's part of Ephemera's Vintage Garden, and I just signed my name here and just tucked this tag inside that pocket. So if Cathy is happy with this book, this will be hers. And once I get this one done, I'll just go do a quick flip through of it for the other customer to see. But it's pretty much the same layout. Of course, the pictures and things will be different, but it's pretty much the same as the one I just showed you. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next video. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.